Welcome to this Render webinar on education and training using custom avatars. In this 30-minute webinar, my human counterpart, the newly minted Dr. Jill Schiefelbein, will share industry-leading research on how custom avatars can be used to create education and training content. You'll walk away with actionable strategies for using synthetic media for informational content in your business and see use cases and examples. Throughout the session, please don't hesitate to ask questions as you have them. The real Jill loves knowing what's on your mind and enjoys engaging in real time. Let's get started. Human Jill, take it away.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being here for this webinar today on education and training using custom avatars. You have just met my custom avatar. I call her Not As Dynamic Jill, and I am excited as the real human Jill to be with all of you today, sharing some industry-leading research that is recently published and examples and case studies and uses for this technology. As the video said throughout the presentation, if you have questions or comments, feel free to use the chat. I've decided just to enable it for everybody so we can have a discussion, a forum, something open. But if you would also rather, you can, of course, use the questions area to submit questions. It's a Q&A thing, and that way your name stays out of the chat. So thank you all again for being here today. Let's dive ahead and get started. So one thing I want to kind of categorize this whole conversation as at the beginning and set realistic expectations for synthetic media and artificial intelligence is that AI outputs are only as good as the human inputs that are given to create them. So whether you're using ChatGPT and you're trying to get some answers or get some text or get a solution generated, the solution generated only has the potential as being as good as the prompt that was submitted to generate that solution. And the same thing goes for custom avatars. The same thing goes for any content that is created for education, training, informing, or beyond. So when you are thinking about, again, anything AI, not just this custom avatar technology, remember, please, that the AI outputs are only as good as the human inputs, and that will come back around later. So let's get to kind of some examples and some research about this topic. One of the things that I am huge on, and when looking at why for me this technology is so innovative and so useful, is that these three things on the screen: personalization, customization, and choice. Almost every presentation I give on this topic, and any presentation I give on sales, on marketing, on education, on learning, will tell you that in thousands of research studies, these three variables continually emerge for what makes effective, engaging, and trusted experiences across all areas of business. When we personalize content, meaning we create content that is specific for an individual user, the likelihood for them to retain information, to learn that information longer term, to engage with the person or the content that is presenting that information increases. Customization, when you are customize something to a group or a subgroup of people. So for example, I see Ashish on the line right now. Thank you for that note, Ashish. And he is one of our custom avatar users, both him and his father, actually, and they work in the travel space. They're using their custom avatars to do a lot of customization for different experiences. So for example, there was recently a trip where Big Five Tours and Expeditions, the company that he is president of, took a group of travel advisors from an elite luxury network to Peru. And at this event, every day, Ashish and his father's avatars were on display, really informing these advisors of what they would be doing throughout the day and really capitalizing on what the local images were, the local backgrounds, and sharing these stories, getting people prepared for what they were about to experience. They're now going to be using this with every trip that they do in different ways to customize that experience for those groups of people. So one example, again, where a specific group or a specific experience, if you're a, let's say, professional speaker, your customization would be to that event or that conference. That way you can use the technology to customize. And then choice, this last variable, means that when people who are seeking to learn something, for example, are given choice in how they consume the content, the likelihood of them learning and engaging, and then of course re-engaging with the provider of the content is higher. By choice, that means, am I consuming via text? Am I consuming via audio, via video, whatever it may be? So when we look at all of the technologies available to us, and especially the advantages that AI and synthetic media can give us in this space, it allows us to more easily personalize, customize, and provide choice to the audiences that we are seeking to inform, to train, to educate, or to engage. What I want to share first before I dive into the examples is this research. And this was my doctoral dissertation research. I am now officially, I should change my title in Zoom here, Dr. Jill Schiefelbein. But this research, which to me was so important, especially for what we do here at Render and for what all of you are on the line for, knowing if can custom avatars actually move the needle for education. So I don't have to be on video every single time I want to train somebody, for example. In the study that I did, I had 3 groups of approximately 100 people each, and they either watched real Jill on video, the avatar Jill on video, or the avatar Jill that discloses in the first sentence that she's an avatar, performing the exact same 2-minute script, and it was about sales and persuasion. So it was an informing educational tip. And what's really fascinating, and the real Jill, by the way, that video was created the same day I created the avatar, so the look of me was identical. This is playing in the background here, a loop of what this actually looked like. This is the 2-minute video. When participants in the study watched this video, again, for 2 minutes with nothing else on the screen, and asked a somewhat leading question at the end of the study, which said, did you just watch a video of a real human or a video of a hyper-realistic avatar representing a real human? 67%, again, after being on for 2 full minutes with this avatar playing with that blank background, said, yes, I am actually human. This is not me saying, yes, we can deceive people with this technology. That is not what I'm saying at all, but I was very startled by that. And it really goes to show some of the next results that you're going to see as it pertains to not only this study, but uses of custom avatars to educate, to inform, and to train. Because I wanted to see if in this, we could have people learn, engage, and trust with this technology. So to show you a little bit about what I did, just a 30-second clip here, in this study methods, we not only did this from an information retention perspective, meaning I had a 5-question quiz after this 2-minute video. There was also a subjective survey-based scale on engagement and trust. But we also combined it with what you see on the screen now, which is biometric data. So these 300-some participants were actually recorded while watching whatever video they were watching. So we could see their eye movement patterns, like that yellow dot you see in that line bouncing around the screen, where people were looking, what they were looking at. And we also had facial expression analysis that was collected. So we could get aggregate facial expressions for, surprise, joy, anger, contempt, positive, negative, neutral, engagement, attention metrics, all of these things come into play. So we have subjective data and biometric data to pair together to see if what people are saying they experienced is actually what they physiologically experienced. And in doing this, I asked some questions. So my first question was, do these videos have people retaining information in the same way? And on the left-hand side, you see with my hypothesis 1A, if you want to read the full study, I'll gladly give it to you. But I tested real Jill versus avatar Jill. And as you can see there was 0 significant difference in information retention. And in fact, my avatar performed a little better than real me, which my ego was slightly bruised. You can see the means there. What this indicates is that in a 5-question quiz, people got 4 out of 5 correct on average out of these 100-person groups of people who were interested in this topic, like most people getting trained, getting educated, getting informed will be, which means the avatar performs just as well as a human. The interesting thing, and I won't dive into it now because it'll be a topic for another webinar with new research that's being done right now. But on the right-hand side, you see avatar versus disclosure, which means the avatar Jill and the avatar Jill that said right at the beginning she was an avatar. You'll still see that the average score on a quiz is 70%, which for most training metrics is still very passable. But you'll see that it performed a little lower by about half a point than the complete avatar video that doesn't say it's an avatar. What I ended up finding here, and so you can see the results on this, I didn't reject the null. There was no difference, and that hypothesis was rejected because I thought disclosed avatar Jill was going to get people's trust easier and they'd remember information more. What we find with this is when you are using this technology to convey information, to train, to educate, to inform people, it is effective. Again, over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of samples in this study for learning and for being able to retain information. What we found biometrically with the group that watched the avatar that disclosed, as you might guess, those who are just watching the avatar video focused mainly on the face. And there's many studies in learning in video that show when people are focused primarily on the face of the educator, then they learn more. On the disclosure side, the biometrics showed that people were looking all over the avatar, which would kind of make sense since this technology is new, and they were looking to examine it from all angles. So my hypothesis there is that they were a little distracted trying to figure out, how is this an avatar? Let me try and figure it out. I see a great comment in the chat that I wonder if avatar Jill performed better because the script can be tight, refined, and highly polished. Human Jill's motions and speech are not as highly polished despite how good of a presenter you are and how much you practice. Well, and that's a great point. I will actually provide in the follow-up to the recording the links to the exact videos that were used so you can see how similar they were. Exact same script. I actually used a teleprompter, which I don't normally do, but the veracity of this was so important. The video experiences are pretty similar. The intonations are a little different, but I'll let you judge that for yourself. So when you look at the second hypothesis, I wanted to look at trust because I think any of our users or people who are considering using avatar technology, especially custom avatars for their audiences, trust is a huge, huge thing. And you see the P scores, those are the significant scores. And what that means for those of you not familiar intimately with statistics, which means, did this actually happen by chance or no, is this verifiable? What you'll see here in all of these scores, even though some may be a little lower than the others, what it means is there is no way to prove that any of this happened by anything other than chance. That means there was no significant difference whatsoever between real Jill, avatar Jill, and avatar Jill that disclosed she was an avatar, which again shocked me because I thought that disclosure would lead to tons of trust, but there was actually no difference. The same thing happened on engagement, where I looked at, again, both subjective and biometric measures of engagement. And you can see here again, zero significant difference, which means the likelihood of it happening by chance is pretty high in all of this. So there was no difference in how any of these three groups actually engaged with the content, either from self-reported engagement in the survey or biometrically, analyzing their facial expressions and their eye movements, etc. So I share all of this because a lot of people have asked, and one of my big questions was here is this actually effective? I mean, I think it's cool. I know I have used it effectively with my clients, but is that the case? And the answer from this research is yes, there is no significant difference in this. So what that means is we can use this in strategic ways. And here I want to show you some amazing examples, not only from me, but from some of our clients who do an amazing job leveraging this technology. What you see on the screen right now is from Amanda Climax. She is a partner and the head of Largay Travel, an amazing luxury travel agency. And she has an avatar and uses it to do a lot of training and education. What you see rotating on the screen now is a GIF of the opening of the video that she has sent out in an email. This specific example was to inform people and to train people on what they needed to do completing an assessment prior to a company-wide retreat that they were having. And I'd like to show you an example of this video. It's a 2-minute video. I won't play the whole thing, but Amanda graciously said anyone who wants to see the full version I can link to, which I will in the follow-up email to this, but you'll see how they are leveraging this technology to inform and to get people to take action.
I don't know about you, but during COVID, I vowed to never take my time and my work for granted again. We all worked tirelessly to change the way we do things in hopes that when the work returned, it would be easier and less stressful. Yet, here we are today, overwhelmed, overworked, and feeling as though we just can't maintain this for very long. Well, I'm here to tell you there is a better way, and we are going to discover it together. Your first assignment is to take a brief assessment using the happiness scorecard. This assessment will help you determine your personal starting point because we can't get to where we are going if we don't know where we've been. This assessment is designed to help you slow down from the daily grind and ask yourself, am I truly happy? If I died right here, right now, would I feel satisfied with how I've lived my life, or would I have a lot of regrets? This assessment is from a book called The Vacation Effect, which we can send to you before the retreat.
So I'll pause that right now, just because I think, there's a minute or so more content. I have lots of examples I want to share with all of you, but I think it's a beautiful way to show the avatar technology. And yeah, there is some B-roll in there playing throughout, but you have an AI voice, you have the AI custom avatar of the person who is, again, the head of the company, and they do a beautiful job putting those things together to use that. What's great about that, and some people may ask, well, if you're going to use B-roll and stuff, why do you even need the physical presence of someone on a screen? Well, again, very research-minded person I am, there's a ton of studies that show when you have a relationship with a person already, like all of her 140 plus travel advisors do, her dozens of team members do, the hundreds of partners and suppliers that come to the event do, when you have a relationship or are working to build a relationship, social presence, meaning the embodiment of yourself and that representation, is actually tied to a host of amazing benefits. And again, retention, engagement, in trust, in relationship building. And so the strategy there that Amanda and her team used, and they did this with multiple videos leading up to their annual retreat, was to leverage this technology to be able to use it to establish some presence, but still, again, get people in the mode and the mood, if you will, for this event that they had. And this just happened in October. So a really great example. And she used BombBomb to actually share the video. You can use a custom landing page that you get when you have any video generated at Render. But as you could see, Amanda wanted to add some B-roll and edit and put some music and stuff like that into it. So she downloaded her avatar, took it offline, and made some magic happen. So this is a great example of how to leverage this technology to inform. Ashish also just shared a great example in the chat for anyone interested in other use cases. And I don't have an example of that to show here, but I will be chatting with him a little more in a minute. So another great example, and for those who produce, let's say, online course content, training content, maybe you're in HR, maybe you're responsible for creating online course products, maybe you're responsible for training within an organization, or maybe training your customers using products, etc. Another great use case for this technology, hyper-realistic and custom avatars, is to use things to, I say, let's get oriented, getting people oriented. This client, the person represented is Brian Goulart. He's a VP at a company called Think to Perform. Their business is behavioral financial advice. And their business model, how they have it set up, is they have multiple coaches that are licensed to share their content. So what they do, among many different things, but specifically on learning and training, is they create a core root online course. And then the introductions, the orientations to each module are delivered by the custom avatar. What's great about this is this team writes the script once. And then as new coaches come on board, because again, if you hear something from the VP of a company who you maybe never met versus hear it from someone who you have a personal coaching relationship, again, the social presence of that is going to make a difference. So they use their avatars to provide module orientation videos for each section of their online course. And you see the screenshot in here kind of indicating how that course structure looks right now. Let me show you an example so you can see it in action.
We'll delve into the fascinating world of neuroscience and how it affects our minds. Neuroscience is a complicated field with a lot of intricate physiological details to consider. However, one crucial concept we'll investigate is how our brain processes emotions.
We'll be looking at the intricate workings of our brains, with a particular emphasis on the limbic system. We'll look at the amygdala, a small but powerful structure. When we experience
So what's really fascinating like this, and this is obviously not the full training, I just made little snippets here to show a demo, is that again, you can plug and play with any avatar of any coach that has licensed their content to be at the beginning of these modules. And then you saw the transition into some of the preview content that would be done in that module as well. This is an incredibly effective use. We have multiple clients using the avatar technology in this way. And what's really great with this is I've had people come up to me and say, Jill, this technology would have been amazing to learn about before I just spent tens of thousands of dollars producing and creating this online course. And I say, actually, no, like I wouldn't produce an entire online course with my custom avatar. That's really not what I would do. I mean, maybe if it was only about AI and technology, that would be appropriate. But for me, what I would do is take these existing courses that you have, these existing recordings you have, this existing content that you have for training, for development, and then use the custom avatar technology to provide guides to people. One of the big things that I learned initially the hard way, but always do it in presentations and even keynotes that I give, is I actually spend a few minutes at the start. And some people say that's a lot of time, it's valuable, but I do this for setting expectations for the audience, and that is guiding them on how I would like them to listen to the presentation. And in doing so, it positions their mind in a different way. So what's happening here is we're using this technology to customize the experience or even personalize the experience for everybody. You can imagine if you have a high ticket product, for example, that you're selling in large corporations, or maybe your internal training in a corporation, and you know that everybody needs to complete this training in some way, shape, or form. Imagine, let me take the internal example. Your training and development team has just put together this amazing new training on this new, let's say software package that's going to be rolled out soon. And everybody in the entire organization needs to understand about it. Well, you've spent some good time producing these trainings that are going to be very similar. This technology doesn't change based on who you are. So you do these great trainings. You spend a lot of time creating it. But then what you do is, maybe to emphasize the importance of it, you have the manager of each department or the CEO of the company have a video that is personalized to each and every employee, talking about their role in the organization and why this is important. How this might look, for example, is you have a basic, maybe 30, 40-second introductory script, kind of like in the intro video I played here for all of you today, which basically says, hi, insert their name. You have been doing such an amazing job in the position of, insert their position. Rolling out this software was a strategic choice in our company because of X. In your role in particular, it's important because, insert importance. I hope you take the time to really get to know this new program and see how it can benefit not only what you do, but the customers that we serve. So there you have a script like that. You have 4 different variables. All you're doing then is almost like a mail merge. You're inserting in those little brackets the different names, titles, job roles, and specific uses for something. And now you have the likeness of the CEO being sent out to hundreds, if not thousands, of employees without this person ever having to be on camera once the avatar is created. This is a massive way to personalize and customize internal training to get points across perhaps faster and more effectively. Another thing that we can do, and this avatar was one of our version 1 avatars, so you'll notice the performance I don't think is as good, but this is a great example of how franchises are using this technology again to get local voices and local social presence of franchise owners in on a screen, but then educating their clients about potential services that they offer. This is from a European wellness chain, and let me just have you take a look at it.
I'm excited to introduce the Morpheus 8 microneedling device. Many people have already experienced the benefits of microneedling, but the Morpheus 8 takes microneedling to a whole new level with technology that allows for a much deeper penetration of the skin to treat all the layers for maximum results.
A typical injector pen has only 12 pins going into the skin. The Morpheus 8 has
So you can see this example, and in the circle at the bottom right there at the end, that is an example of a stock avatar, which I know a lot of people have curiosities about and are interested in. So what they did as a brand is they created this lovely template, and then all they have to do is take Britta out and put the local owner in for all of these things. And it makes these great training videos for possible products, informing and educating their customers and their clients, which is great. The stock avatar you see there, it's a lovely performing, again, these were both version 1. So thinking about a year and a half ago produced avatars. When you see these, the only risk of using these stock avatars is if someone else has seen the same stock avatar in another context, you risk that context influencing how people view that. And so we can't control where stock avatars are used. We can control where custom avatars are used. So again, stock avatars can be really, really efficient, and they also pose a risk depending on where people may have seen them before. So you have to weigh that out and see how that works for you. Now, one last example I'll show you here before we wrap up this very fast 30-minute webinar is an example that we use at Render on how we get people set up. And this is, I would say, not a high-produced training. This is something that I am capable of doing, video editing. As you're going to see, it's a little rudimentary. But the effectiveness of this training is not impacted by my lack of editing skills. In fact, this has changed how people are experiencing coming into avatar shoots. So let's take a look.
When your hair and makeup is looking great, you'll step foot into our studio space. There will be a mark on the floor, and you'll stand right there looking directly into the camera. Pretty simple so far, right? Then we'll start the process. During the appointment, you will be asked to show photo identification. This is the first of many important steps that we take to secure your digital likeness. Once you're in the studio, you will be reading multiple scripts from a teleprompter.
So I train our incoming avatar clients, of course, but my avatar also does too. And so you can see an example of how this plays out. And again, with my rudimentary editing skills, and it's actually kind of done intentionally because we want to be a little casual and make people comfortable with the experience. So again, you can take this technology, use it in many different ways. I like adding the text on the screen, the visuals, captions, etc., because studies in learning and education and informing show that it is more effective when you have certain levels of visual elements to accompany a speaker on the screen. But what research shows, again, across hundreds of participants, is even in a 2-minute video with an avatar without anything else on the screen, the technology can be very effective in getting information across and getting people to remember and retain information, as demonstrated by, again, 80% average score on a quiz. I'd be remiss if I didn't wrap up without showing just a picture of my business partners, our CEO and Chief Product Officer, John and Moki, who could not be here today to pop on and say hi because they're actually shooting with someone right now and actually training one of our new partner studios. And that is something new that we have just rolled out. We actually have now 7 different on-demand locations, where before you had to come to a mobile experience in a specific place at a specific time. Now we have 7 different on-demand locations that you can use to have access to getting an avatar produced. So I leave that on the screen there. But what I promise to all of you is that I'm going to follow up not only with the recording of the webinar, but as someone asked for, seeing the videos that were actually studied. I think that's important. I love to be transparent with the research. I'll follow up with those links and, of course, links to other examples. And I said, Ashish put a great one in the chat. Ashish is actually going to be getting a shout out and a sample link in a blog post with one of the videos they used in Peru in our upcoming quarterly newsletter. So look forward to that, to seeing all of these different uses with hyperrealistic custom avatars. Thank you all for taking 30 minutes out of your day to be here with me, allowing me to share not only this new research, but these use cases and examples that have come in and are really starting to play a role. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to follow up. My contact information, of course, is in this QR code, as is our studio site, but you can also follow up with me directly anytime via email, jill@rendermedia.ai. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today, and I look forward to sharing the recording and some other goodies and resources with you soon.